A lot of people ask me, what's the turning point when you know you've got a real problem with alcohol? And I would say it's when hangover turns to withdrawal, and when you have hair of the dog more than once in a short period of time. A lot of people go on holiday. That's always what people relate it to, the hair of the dog. The hair of the dog, because you had a really session on holiday and you don't have to go into work and all that sort of thing. Have a hair of the dog just to fix you a little bit. And you think, well, I feel a little bit better after 1 pint or 2 pints, whatever you drink, and that's sort of cures you. People think, oh, that's a good cure, that. They say Bloody Mary, a bit of vodka and tomato juice or whatever will cure you. It's just like having another drink will pull you around a bit. And I think that's when the danger creeps in a little bit. And when the hair of the dog becomes more regular, a lot of people will have the odd drink before they even go to work. And I think I would call that top-up drinking, where you're never going to get a rest, really. And people will say, oh, he's a functioning alcoholic, I'm not a functioning alcoholic, whatever. You're not functioning to any great level. You're just getting to work. You're managing to hold things together in relationships and life, really. That's what you're doing. So when you get to the point where you think the only cure is to have another drink, that's when you really got to put the brakes on, because when you have hangovers, normally you can just work through them, have a bit of a bad head, maybe feel a bit sick, need something to eat, have a cup of coffee. That's what the vast majority of people do. But when you've got an alcohol issue, and you start thinking, well, the only thing that's going to really pull me around here is another drink, that's the turning point. Then you've got to really, really look at yourself then and think, wow, what am I doing this for? Because hangovers are painful, and withdrawals are even more painful. With a hangover, you tend to feel tired, got no energy, no ambition, you lose everything. You think, oh, I just can't be bothered today, that sort of thing. A bit meh, a bit down, a bit paid off, And then when you go to withdrawal, you sort of get the shakes, and you sort of feel dizzy, and you sweat. And then when you get withdrawal, you get anxiety. You don't feel comfortable in the car. You don't feel comfortable with people. I never used to feel comfortable in big supermarkets in case I couldn't get out. All these sort of things happen when you're starting to withdraw. Now, I should have known that years ago when I was having problems getting on the underground, that this anxiety was creeping in, and I was going to withdraw rather than hangover. And I kidded myself, I just had a hangover. I didn't know much about withdrawal and things like that then. There was no internet years ago. I think people ask about with the doctor. I didn't go to the doctors very much, to be honest. And I just felt something was happening in my life, but I didn't know what. I knew I was getting more nervous, you see, more aware of things. And I wasn't being myself. I wasn't acting myself. I was acting strange. I didn't want to go anywhere, really. I could go to the pub. I didn't want to go to any social events. I didn't particularly want to travel up north, see my parents. I thought, God, that's a whole long weekend out the way. I could be just drinking. It was taking over my life, really, and it was interfering with every aspect of my life. It weaves its way in. It's hard to get out. So if you're a heavy drinker and you're starting to think, wow, the only thing to get me over this bump in the road, this feeling of feeling just terrible, pissed off, impending doom, is another drink, then you're crossed over. And to me, that's the turning point from going from a heavy drinker to an alcoholic. Because you don't just fancy a drink for the buzz. You need a drink to get you out of bed, to get to the shops. And then you need a drink to get you in the car, which is even more dangerous. And you need a drink to get you to the shops to get some more drink. And then you need to stock up your drink. You'd be frightened of running out of drink. All these sort of things. And as soon as you hit the alcoholic button, your life will crumble. Because all of these things will kick in. The heavy anxiety, you start to give up on life, you start to give up on people. You and your loved ones just become secondary because you have this addiction. You're addicted now. you're an alcoholic, you're addicted to the substance. Simple as that. When people say alcohol and drugs, it's just drugs. When you drink alcohol, you're a drug addict, as far as I'm concerned. Both the same thing. Or all the same thing. So that's the turning point for me. When the sort of cloudy head, maybe feeling a bit rough, maybe a little bit of memory loss. When that turns to shaking, coughing up bile, frightened to leave the house, frightened to talk to people, frightened to open the post, maybe taking a bit of sick leave at work, all that sort of thing, taking a bit of extra time off when you wouldn't normally. These are all signs that you're tipping into a full-blown addiction, or what I would call active addiction, and then you are an alcoholic. And then you have to face facts. I'm an alcoholic. Simple as that. There's no turning back from it. With that, you've passed that point now. Your social drinking is finished. You can't do that. And once you admit the fact you're an alcoholic, you've got to want to stop. I knew I was an alcoholic years ago, but I still felt as if I didn't want to stop. I thought I could beat it. I thought I could get it under control and be what I'll call a social drinker again. Cut it down, control the amount I was drinking, maybe have the odd day when I only had 2 or 3 pints, but no, every time I cut down, try to taper off a bit, I'd go back again, because I felt a little bit better. And that's another dangerous point. When you start to feel a bit better, then you're inclined to try 1 or 2 again. And 1 or 2 will lead to 10 or 20. And that's the issue with alcoholics. You can't get enough of it. So you've got to make a decision. And your decision is going to be either to carry on drinking and harm yourself and more likely lose 20, 25 years of your life. Maybe be disabled, end up in a wheelchair, mobility scooter, not feeling particularly well, have all sorts of issues like high blood pressure, maybe strokes, heart attacks. All these other things can happen through alcohol abuse. Accidents. You either do that, keep drinking and drinking, or you stop, and you must stop for life. And when somebody says you can't drink again for the rest of your life, when you've been a drinker like me and you've been drinking heavily for all of your life, all of your adult life, it's a massive, massive emotional shock. And you've got to think about, well, maybe I can't have a drink today, can't have a drink tomorrow, and break it down into days, break it down to hours if need be. You can't have a drink for the next 4 hours, you can't have a drink after that. Start cutting down, not just on the amount you're drinking, but on the time you're drinking. So instead of saying, well, I'm going to go from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on drinks. When you've been used to drinking from 5 p.m. till 10 p.m, just I'm going to drink from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Make a massive difference. And when you've had a few drinks and you think, well, actually the buzz is gone now, I'm just drinking for drinking's sake, I'm sat here on the sofa eating a bag of crisps and enjoying doing nothing, then stop drinking, go to bed, because you've had your buzz, and that's the way to cut it down. If you're really dependent on it, then you've got to get some medical advice, and don't just stop suddenly, because that can give you seizures, which is what happened to me. So just something to think about. That's the turning point. When you start to get hangovers that feel like withdrawal, then you're in a mess, a total mess, and you need to get help straight away. Contact me as well. I do one-to-one mentoring. I'll put all the links in the description and the video. And if you benefit from the channel, then please subscribe and share it. I'm starting to do a lot of live sessions now, but I'll start putting out times I'm going to do them. And let's get a few people involved in this. Let's get sober together, because it's very difficult on your own to do this. It's not easy. I'll speak to you all soon.